What's up, YouTubers? It is I, the Brian Hicks, the deep voice. Track lightning collector. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to mix it up. Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Well, I know you know what this is, so I probably really don't even need to tell you, but it's a 23854 Hunter original. It just so happens to have been made in 1998. It's one of many good years for these fans. 1996 one seemed to be my favorite. Why, I don't know, but they are. So this particular fan happens to be on eBay right now. It's currently January 11th, 2016. In recent years, I've kind of like broken eBay with the way that my fan auctions have gone, but we won't get into that. I have an interesting story to tell you.
Powering on.
And my Bluetooth speaker has nothing to do with it.
Powering off.
Took it out of my pocket. Wow. It's noisy. I'm leaning against my bench. Okay. When I was about 6 years old. Okay, let me back up. To give you a history of the fans that have come into my possession and or I have been around since I was a child. The first fan that was in our house when I was born, and really quickly, I do happen to still live at home. Well, I did move away for a little while. And it's kind of complicated, but my mom fell ill. She's got COPD, multiple sclerosis, lupus, and a few other diseases. I mean, her health is terrible. And I couldn't bear to put her in a nursing home, so I moved back home. Please don't tell her I said that. Anyhow, so first fan that was ever in our house that was there when I guess my parents moved in before I was even thought of was some type of Casablanca. I have a picture that shows a blade in just the edge of the motor housing, and it looks like a Casablanca to me. But the thing is that on the beam where the fan lived, or hung, should I say, there are 4 holes that match the pattern of a hang true bracket, and they were drilled into the beam. So, chances are fairly good that it is, that there was in fact some type of Casablanca there, and that the reason why they replaced it. And I remember clearly driving around with my parents, or actually my mom, going to various lighting places trying to find somebody to fix this fan. So I assume that it was like Slumber Quiet or something. I know it wasn't IntelliTouch because it plugged in via a cord that ran through to a different room in the house. Don't ask. The previous owners of that house were weird. Anyway, so we tried to repair the fan, and I really don't know what happened. Hell, I mean, that flywheel could have fallen. I really don't know. Anyway, fan long gone, a long time ago. So they replaced it with what I learned later to be a 48-inch Hunter Summer Breeze. And I actually have, I don't know if it's, well, I'll get to that in a minute. First let me kick this thing up to medium. It's kind of cold in here. I turned off the heat a few minutes ago. So they replaced it with that fan. Well, fast forward 6 months to a year later, I told my parents I wanted a fan for my room. Well, after they had replaced that fan, my dad decided he wanted to put a fan up in the master bedroom. Well, they picked up a 42-inch Crest for a room that was 16 by 24 or something like that, and plopped it right in the middle of the room. And, you know, reflecting back on that, it's almost like, really, Dad? Is that all you could find? You know, kind of like that. And, so anyhow, so some months later or a year later, I told him, maybe I may have even bugged them a lot about it. But I told them, hey, I want a fan in my bedroom. And they're like, okay, well, let's go to home quarters. Now, I already knew what I wanted. I wanted one of those right there. But I was like 6 years old. And let me tell you, they pulled a fast one on me. Because, now granted, I had already annoyed my parents to no end. But Hunter fans, Casablanca fans, this, this, all kinds of fans since I was a tiny baby. It's nice high speed, isn't it? It's always a treat to see one of these things run on high speed. I mean, it's just the most badass fan there is. They're awesome. I won't actually turn it off. I'm gonna turn you off too, because I'm getting cold. And I'll reverse it at the end of the video and spin it up the other way, blah blah blah, etc. God, this video is getting to be 7 minutes long. I need to hurry this up. I then tried to record it 3 times, not doing it again. So I said, okay, I want this fan, and I picked it out in the catalog. I want a Hunter original, and I was like, I want the 5-blade one. Basically the fan you see before me, except that the fan I was picking out was the 2.5 series, which is actually quite rare because those were 1.1 amp motors, 5-blade only, and had the standard style Hunter blade bracket, not the quote-unquote tulip style, as all the other originals since '85 have had. Okay, so where am I going with this? Okay, I remember now. So we went to home quarters, which is kind of like Builder's Square. And I was like, okay, this is the fan I want. Picked out the Hunter original. My dad put it in the cart. And we started going to go check out. You know, and I'm all distracted looking at all the other fans. And apparently, my mom and dad had a discussion amongst themselves and was like, okay, you know, you take him to the car and I'll actually get another fan that we can afford or something like that. So anyway, so my mom took me to the car, or actually van or truck, I can't remember which, whenever on the car. And my dad came out a couple of minutes later with said fan, set it in the back, and somehow they kept me away from it for the month or so that it took to install it. Well, I came home from school one day, and lo and behold, the fan was installed in my room. And the first thing I told my dad when I looked up was, that's not a Hunter original. My dad looked at me, yes it is. Like that, I clearly remember this. He put up, they somehow did a switcheroo, and I'm sure it was, I'm sure it was very easy to do a switcheroo around on a 6-year-old who was enthralled with all things fan. But they bought another one of these. And that's the fan that came out of my bedroom. Originally, all these years later. I don't know what happened to the, and it's still got the original little breakaway connector and all that crap. I don't remember what happened to the one that was in the living room, because apparently I threw it away or gave it away or something. Because I later, in recent times, I replaced it with one of these. Okay, so I was mad at my parents for a while because of this. I had a 48-inch Summer Breeze instead of an original. Well, I literally lusted after one of these fans. And when I say lusted, I really mean lusted. I mean, I used to complain. We'd go into Home Depot or home quarters. Well, after they closed, it was Home Depot or Lowe's. And if they had originals on display, which most of them did, it was like, I want to replace the fan in my room with an original, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look at this thing. How would you not want one of these if you're a fan collector or fan minded? And, looking back on it with the way my father was, and he died when I was 13, which is the reason why I've kind of been speaking in past tense this whole time. Where was I going with that? He was of such a mechanical mind that if he actually paid attention long enough to the original and realized what it was compared to all the other fans on the market, I guarantee you that he would have chosen the original for every room in the house. Okay, so anyway, so fast forward, my father died when I was 13. Well, the fan in the living room started making noise, started having bearing noise. And I convinced my mom, now granted I was about 14 or 15 now, to, why don't we actually just replace this with an original? I can put it up. I really had no experience with fans at that point. And she's like, well, blah, 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 etc. Et well, I finally convinced her. And we wound up with a black fan. And, well, I didn't really know anything about how to oil it. I just pushed the entire oil tube down it at one time. Well, that was a mistake. Well, the fan lasted 2 months and then stopped working. Again, I didn't really know what I was doing. So we took it back and then paid somebody to put up one of these in its place. And, well, anyway, that began the whole saga of the originals. It really did. And the first used one I ever got was a white 52-inch. I actually think I still have that fan somewhere. I don't intend to ever get rid of it. But anyway, I believe I do have it. So anyway, man, this has just turned into a long thing. But I know y'all are enjoying watching the fan, so that's okay. So that's pretty much my story. I mean, there's more that I could add, and at present time, I am living with my mom, and I pay most of the bills. But the reason being for that is because she fell ill with multiple sclerosis, COPD, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis. She can barely get around, and I think I said that earlier in the video. I can't remember. But she really isn't doing well at all. And you know what? One day she's not going to be here. Remember that, kids. One day your parents aren't going to be here for you. My father died when I was 13. It can happen to any of us. And I don't mean to scare you. I'm just saying it is a life lesson. We don't know when any of our time is. We don't know when our time is going to come. We really don't. I mean, I could die tonight. I might die when I'm 90. Nobody knows. Only the good Lord knows. However, I will continue to love my fans. And when I say love, I mean that really loosely. I really just like them. I mean, there's no physical relationship there. Oh, some of y'all are going to laugh at that. But, I mean, and granted, some fan collectors do kind of go overboard with it. But, yeah. That's pretty much my story about how I came to be the original man. And I mean, I'll give you one little more tidbit of information because my memory is about to run out, and then I'll go. When sorry, I heard something rustling outside. A long time ago, well, about 10 years ago, I started picking these up because after I got my driver's license, I started going to the Habitat restores and everything. And I started seeing these and picking them up. And suddenly I had like 30 or 40 of them. And it was like my mom, and I kept, I was bringing fans back here, dropping them off in the shop. And my family, extended family and everything was like, what is with all the fans, man? You need to stop getting these. I was just like, I don't know why I'm getting them. Something's telling me to get them. Well, guess what? The dang things became valuable. I sold 2 fans. And granted, this may have been a fluke, but I sold 2 fans, 2 bright brass fans. And granted, these things sold for, the highest they ever sold for was about $2.99. At one point, before they went overseas, they were selling for $149 and $199. 56-inch model was selling for $159. Now they sell for $449. But I got, for a reverse air original, I got $699. And I didn't have but $10 in the fan. Then I sold one for $861. And I didn't have but $20 in that fan. But the difference was, and the thing was, is that in this, I actually need to ship this. I'll be packing this tomorrow evening. I spend the time to really and truly clean these up. And when I say clean them up, I mean really clean them up. I mean, make them as perfect as I can. And, nobody else is really doing that on eBay. They're kind of like finding them as is and just throwing them up on eBay and getting what they get for them. I don't like to do that. This is my passion. Really don't give a damn what my family members think. And something I read on a message board about autism was, I was looking up some years ago as to why this was, man, it actually might have been like a year or two ago. It's right when the whole ceiling fan museum and all that stuff started up with Dan and all that. But anyway, a parent was asking on this message board about their son who had autism that was really into fans. And they're like, what do we do about this? And I didn't ever comment on it, but somebody else did. And they were like, well, my son also likes fans. And I can't remember the exact wording, but they were like, he knows all these other fan collectors. In here, think about it like this. He is either going to outgrow it, or he's going to grow up and make money from it. Now, that's a very good way to put it, because if you really think about it, I may have drove my family absolutely batty when I was a kid over the fans. But I didn't outgrow it. And guess what? I'm making money at it. So, it is what it is. Think of it as what you may. This kind of turned into a really long production. And, I am going to upload it to YouTube. Just because it seems like the right thing to do. Thanks for watching. Brian Hicks out.